The Miller family always believed in perfect Christmases. Tom, ever the enthusiast, would insist on finding the most majestic tree, the one that touched the ceiling and filled their home with the scent of pine and promise. This year, they found it at a secluded, pop-up lot on the edge of town, run by a gaunt old man with eyes that seemed to hold the winter sky. The tree was a magnificent Nordman fir, its needles a deep, almost black green, its branches perfectly tiered. They brought it home, a silent, beautiful sentinel for their holiday joy. Little Leo was the first to notice something was off. He'd sit on the rug, his coloring book forgotten, just staring at the tree. "Mommy," he whispered one evening, his voice small. "The star is watching me." Sarah ruffled his hair, smiling. "It's just a pretty star, sweetie." But later that night, as she passed the living room, she could have sworn the angel topper had tilted its head, its painted eyes following her. She shook it off as a trick of the light, a symptom of holiday exhaustion. Tom was next. He was a practical man, a carpenter who dealt in solid wood and straight lines. But he started having nightmares, not just bad dreams, but vivid, bone-chilling terrors. He dreamt of the woodshop, of saws slipping, of splinters driving deep under his skin. He'd wake up in a cold sweat, the phantom pain so real he'd check his hands for wounds. During the day, a new unease settled over him. He'd misplace his tools, find his measurements inexplicably wrong. A deep, knowing anxiety, a fear of failure he hadn't felt since he was an apprentice, began to consume him. The atmosphere in the house grew heavy, thick with an unspoken dread. The scent of pine, once so festive, now smelled cloying, almost like decay. The cheerful twinkle of the fairy lights seemed to mock them, casting long, distorted shadows that danced like skeletal figures on the walls. Sarah, who loved baking, found her gingerbread men crumbling, her cakes refusing to rise. She started dreaming of being lost in a dark, endless forest, the trees closing in, their branches like grasping claws. Her fear of being alone, of being abandoned, the fear she'd buried since childhood, resurfaced with suffocating intensity. The tree seemed to thrive on the growing terror. Its needles grew sharper, darker. The ornaments, once symbols of happy memories, now seemed to twist into grotesque shapes in the dim light. A glass Santa looked like it was screaming. A silver bell appeared tarnished and cracked. Leo stopped playing altogether. He'd hide in his room, clutching his stuffed bear, whispering about the shadows in the branches. He told his parents the tree was hungry. One night, a week before Christmas, the power went out. The house was plunged into an abyssal darkness, broken only by the faint, eerie glow from the streetlights outside. A low, rustling sound came from the living room. It wasn't the wind. It was a dry scraping sound, like brittle branches dragging across the floor. Tom grabbed a heavy flashlight from the kitchen drawer, his heart hammering against his ribs. Sarah held onto his arm, her breath catching in her throat. Leo was asleep upstairs, blissfully unaware. They crept into the living room. Tom flicked on the flashlight, its powerful beam cutting through the gloom. The light fell upon the tree, and they both screamed. It was no longer a tree. The trunk had thickened and contorted, resembling a gnarled, sinewy limb. The branches, now bare of needles, were long, spindly appendages tipped with razor-sharp points. They were moving, twitching and reaching, not towards the ceiling, but outwards, into the room. The angel topper was gone, and in its place was a gaping, dark maw that seemed to inhale the very light from the flashlight. The ornaments had burst, leaving behind what looked like weeping, glassy eyes embedded in the bark. From deep within the thing, a chorus of whispers slithered into their minds. They heard their own fears, amplified and distorted. Tom heard the shriek of a rogue saw blade, the snap of bone. Sarah heard the echo of her own desperate cries in a lonely, dark wood. It was feeding on their terror, growing stronger with every panicked heartbeat. The scraping sound grew louder as one of the branch limbs dragged itself across the hardwood floor, inching towards them. It was trying to get out, to spread its roots beyond the confines of their living room. Suddenly, a small voice cut through the horror. It scared, too. Leo stood at the top of the stairs, holding his little battery-powered lantern. He wasn't crying. His eyes were wide with a strange, clear understanding. It's just hungry and scared. His words, so simple and pure, broke the spell of terror. Tom and Sarah looked at each other, a new resolve hardening their faces. It wasn't just about their fear anymore. It was about their son. Tom's mind raced. Fear was its food. Anxiety was its strength. He thought of the fireplace, cold and empty. He thought of the lighter fluid in the garage. "Sarah," he said, his voice steady, "get Leo and go to the neighbors. Now. Don't look back." Sarah hesitated, her eyes locked on the monstrous, shifting form in the center of their home. "Go," Tom roared, a father's protective instinct overriding his own terror. She grabbed Leo's hand and fled, not daring to look back at the nightmare unfolding behind them. Tom faced the creature. He wouldn't give it his fear. Instead, he channeled a cold, hard rage. He thought of his family, of the joy this thing had stolen, of the home it had violated. He walked calmly to the fireplace, grabbing the iron poker. The whispering in his mind intensified, showing him images of failure, of injury, of death. He ignored them, focusing on the weight of the poker in his hand, the solid reality of it. The creature lunged, a branch limb shooting towards him like a spear. Tom swung the poker, shattering the appendage into a shower of dry splinters. The thing let out a shriek that was not a sound, but a wave of pure psychic pain. It recoiled. Tom didn't stop. He ran to the garage, his movements precise and deliberate. He returned with the lighter fluid and a box of machetes. The creature thrashed, its limbs flailing, trying to instill one last jolt of fear. But all Tom felt was determination. He doused the base of the trunk, the fluid soaking into the monstrous bark. The whispers became frantic, begging, threatening. He struck a match. The small flame flickered, a tiny star of defiance in the suffocating darkness. "Merry Christmas," Tom muttered, and tossed it onto the base. The effect was instantaneous. The creature ignited with a deafening roar, a sound of agony and rage that shook the very foundations of the house. Green and black flames erupted towards the ceiling, consuming the twisted limbs. The glassy eyes popped and shattered. The psychic screaming reached a crescendo and then, suddenly, went silent. All that was left was the roar of the fire and the smell of something ancient and evil turning to ash. By the time the fire department arrived, the blaze was mostly contained to the living room. When they asked the soot-covered Tom what happened, he just shook his head. Faulty wiring on the Christmas lights. The Miller family never had a perfect Christmas again. Their holidays became quieter, more subdued. They never bought another real tree. But every year, as they lit a small, artificial one, they would hold each other close, grateful for the simple, beautiful gift of being together, safe from the shadows that sometimes lurk in the most festive of traditions. And they know, in a way no one else could, that the greatest light is the one you find in the deepest darkness. Thanks for watching, and remember to subscribe for more stories from the shadows.